Lindsay Curcio is an immigration attorney, and she's an adjunct professor at New York Law School and works with media to assist asylum seekers, which is a whole different area that we've not had before. So we look forward to hearing Lindsay. Please come up.
Thank you, Dr. Carl. Well, my name is Lindsay Curcio. I'm an immigration lawyer, and as many of us immigration lawyers do, sometimes it seems like it's a 12-step meeting. I'm an immigration lawyer. We are all obsessed with immigration. I do a lot of things. I teach, I write nonfiction and fiction. I will tell you I'm a member of the National Writers Union. I am not a journalist. I don't have a journalism background. I have the utmost respect for what you do. It's phenomenal. These programs have, I'm writing down all these ideas because I'm thinking about how I can use them to help us with our clients and our cases. And I'm going to be sharing this information with some of the different bar association groups that I'm with. I'm going to keep my remarks pretty quick because I know we're going to have a lively question and answer session. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do as immigration lawyers working with the media. And we began to realize that we should have a relationship, right, with the media probably in the late 90s. And like you were saying, there just weren't as many outlets and there wasn't the accessibility that there is today. You know, it's phenomenal. So those of you who are journalists, I can tweet you, I can post, I can tag you, and bring you into our conversations and say, hey, something is happening that we want you to know about, and maybe it will be a story that you want to tell. So we use the media to advocate for immigration reform. It's a topic you've probably been hearing a lot about for the past, at least 15 years, maybe longer, bringing attention to immigration law and policy and even specific cases for our clients. And one of the issues I think is that the immigration law community and the media have to continue to foster a connection so that you, the media, have the resources to reach those who can explain different aspects of immigration law, particularly when there's a story that the journalist would like to pursue, and so that we lawyers can ethically advocate for our clients and for changes to the immigration system. I don't know how familiar you are with U.S. immigration law. It's normally considered an administrative law. It's a very big field. So not only are we talking about the movement of people in and out of the country, people living here, people working here, people staying here, but we're talking about corporate law, we're talking about human rights, international tax, family law, criminal law, lots of different things. I'm very excited about the project you were talking about and using storytelling and narrative, because as lawyers, I think we're realizing that we have to use this more and more to tell our clients stories, whether it's an asylum case with declarations, whether it's a waiver case. I do a lot of different waiver cases, but we want to draw in whoever the adjudicator is so that they really, really understand what's going on and why someone should be in the United States. So lawyers who practice immigration law, they may concentrate in a particular area of immigration. They might work in all different types of cases. My practice covers pretty much everything. I've been doing it for 25 years. And like I said, when you meet immigration lawyers, I think you're going to find that we're a little bit different than other attorneys. We like to think we have maybe the best job in the world because we're helping people really realize their dreams. And whether it's to be here, to go to school here, to live here, to reunite with their families, to flee persecution, to start their careers here, their companies here. When you're working with clients, and sometimes these cases go on for years, and you're very involved in your clients' lives, when you see them reach that goal, oh, I'm getting all teary already. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for us. And in addition to all of our bar associations and groups, immigration lawyers have a lot of different listservs and stuff that we're on, and we all kind of revel in each other's successes. So we could be doing employment-based cases, people who are coming to the U.S. to work here temporarily or permanently, helping family members sponsor parents, children, or spouses, or even siblings to live in the U.S., defending individuals in removal proceedings in immigration court, helping long-term residents apply for naturalization, spotting derivative U.S. citizens. That makes us very happy. I'm going to talk briefly about what's going on at the southern border, and every so often when we do an intake and find out that someone's really a U.S. citizen and didn't know they were, that's big news. helping women, children, and unaccompanied minors fleeing dangerous conditions in their home countries find a way to stay in the U.S., and other foreign nationals who are fleeing persecution and seeking asylum. But all of these cases, all of these petitions and applications, they all require a lot of documentation. And not just materials from the individuals themselves, but also we use the media because we often have to document country conditions. We do this in asylum cases, right? People who are fleeing persecution, and there was past persecution, they're worried about future persecution on one of the bases such as political opinion, religion, race, ethnicity, member of a particular social group, and it's very interesting to see how the law is changing in this area, the way the groups are growing, especially with things that are coming out of Central America. Waiver cases, there's so many issues about admissibility, because really when we think about countries, sovereigns, what is their main power? It's deciding who can come in, right, and stay, and who cannot come in. So there are different waivers for people who might be inadmissible because of crimes or past immigration violations, or even people who came to the U.S. as part of a paid program like the Fulbright Scholars. They need waivers. And we need to document reasons why perhaps qualifying family members, U.S. citizens or permanent residents, could not go back to that home country, or why there is a fear of persecution for the applicant to go to that home country. So we are using your reporting. And for years, of course, we used all the major media, but now we're able to use all of these other things, all these different media, PCI, what you're talking about here, about citizen witness. It's amazing, right? And I think the government is beginning to understand the weight, right, and the importance of this reporting and giving it credit when they see it in our applications and petitions. So that's just one of the ways that we have to work together, and we really rely on the journalists. But what can we do to promote changes in immigration law? We've been saying for a really long time that the U.S. immigration system is broken. I guess that's the simplest way to explain it. There aren't enough visas for the people who want to be in the country to be here, or for the people who need to be here for work, or for the family members. So maybe the whole system needs to be reorganized. I think you would be surprised to know there are very long waits for many types of visas, because really what's getting a lot of attention in the press, of course, is the undocumented community, but not realizing that there just may not be the visas, right, or the categories, or the ways for people to come here legally. Very long waits. For example, imagine someone who's a U.S. citizen wants to sponsor their sibling for a green card, permanent residence. That's the fourth preference, family-based category. Last time everything was reorganized was in 1990. I remember because I had just gotten out of law school, and I thought, boy, I just learned this, and now, it's all changed. But it hasn't been reorganized since then. That's kind of a long time. So this fourth preference category is so backlogged. If you want to sponsor your sibling, you had to have started your case, filed that petition with USCIS or even Legacy INS before 2003 by July 22nd of 2003. That is a really long wait, a really long wait. Now, what if your relative was born in or charged to the Philippines? Well, due to demand in that category for the siblings of U.S. citizens, that category is backlogged to October 1st, 1992. That's a really long wait. That's according to a publication called the Visa Bulletin. That comes out every month from the U.S. Department of State, because we start out the year, the government's fiscal year starts in October, with a certain number of visas for all the different categories, and they're used, right? Sometimes they're all used up before we even get into the year. So think also about permanent residence for employment. Third preference, that's for professionals. It's actually a three-part process starting with a labor certification. That category, where we have many people, for example, born in India and China who are working in the technology fields, persons who are born in or charged to India, that backlogged to September 1st of 2004. This is insanity. Now, you may have read about the H-1Bs. Every year, there'll be one article, maybe in the paper, about the H-1Bs. People who are professionals, meaning they have at least a bachelor's degree or higher, they're going to work in a field that requires at least a bachelor's degree or higher, a lot of our foreign students who finish school and want to start their careers in the US, well, we only have 65,000 new H-1Bs available every year. So basically what happens is we start in January and February and we run like crazy and we prepare our cases and send them so that US Citizenship and Immigration Services receives all these petitions within the first 5 days of April, the first 5 business days of April. They get too many and they have to have a lottery. So they just held that lottery. I don't know how many they got this year. Last year they got more than 250,000 H-1Bs for people to work in the US in professional positions. There's only 65,000 slots with an extra 20,000 for US Masters cap. Now there's some other exceptions and such, but that's not very much. So you see how US business has been lobbying and talking about these issues, but there's no way for the businesses to get the people they need and for the people to, find a way to stay in the US and work. I'm also thinking about now, having just cared for an elderly parent, where are the visas for what they used to call the lower skilled workers? People that we need in healthcare, nursing homes, hospitals. Where are the visas for the higher skilled workers, the nurses? So that's my new issue. I would love to talk to you about that. So please, find me, because I think people need to know. Especially as our population in the US, just like every other population around the world, is aging, right, at such a rate. They say that by 2020, the percentage of the total population 65 or older will be 16.1%. By 2040, that'll be 20%. So that's the US administration on aging. Huge issues that aren't being reported on. One of the things that I know has been in the paper, the surge of women and children coming into the southern US border as they flee violence and persecution in Central America. This has been going on for a period of years. It's really, really increased in the past few years during the violence in Central America. US Customs and Border Protection, cbp.gov, you can look it up online, saying that in fiscal year 2014, there were about 28,500 unaccompanied minors, that's kids, right, babies up to the age of 17, who came across the border. 2016 so far, we're talking from October of last year till now, 27,754. We're not even through the year yet. Now, many of these children may be eligible for special immigrant juvenile status. It's a very interesting status leading to a green card involving both state and family court, US immigration. There are a lot of pro bono initiatives that are going on, especially at law schools and bar associations. But I don't know if the media is able to report all of this because they need to think about all of these things in context, right? It's not enough to just talk about the undocumented, you've got to know about the whole system. And the immigration lawyers in the US want to tell you about the laws and the policies and where the gaps are and where the problems are and what we think needs attention. Now, for example, this special immigrant juvenile status, it's actually in the employment-based cases. That's where they put the visa numbers. And there was such a demand, they ran out of them. So none of these cases can get to this point for pursuing permanent residence. They can start the cases for children from El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala. It is now going to be backlogged to 2010. Huge issues, right? So we could go on all day long about this, right? The main issue is immigration law doesn't exist in a vacuum. And you've got to talk about where the visas are going and pushing and pulling and the demands and the trends. And we've got to have a relationship between the media and the immigration lawyers. Now, I would say one of the best resources would be the American Immigration Lawyers Association. It's AILA.org, AILA.org. It is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization with about 14,000 members. I've been a member for a long time. I just got a little card saying, 25 years. There is a national committee about media and advocacy, and we have local chapters, right, in all the big cities and all throughout the US and even overseas with media and advocacy committees. We want to make that connection between the lawyers and the law professors and the journalists and tell you about the stories we think that need to be reported, not just about individual clients, but about these trends, right? Because I think people need to know about it. This way, reporters are working on stories, they can contact the association, the committee, or the attorneys, let us know what topics you're interested in. We can put out a call to the immigration lawyers through listservs, not just AILA, also New York County Bar Association has an Immigration and Nationality Committee, New York State Bar Association, New York City Bar Association, and all across the US, there are immigration and nationality committees that would love to connect you with their lawyers. All right, so reporters can ask, they're interested in a specific topic, tell us a way to get a hold of you, and we can circulate that to the members. What else I'm going to tell you about? Privacy issues. Okay. Now I think we're very enthusiastic as advocates to communicate a story. So we have to think about how are we going to do this truthfully, accurately, and ethically. So the journalist and the advocate have to be aware of some very key privacy issues for the subjects of the stories, especially in this internet age where once you publish something, I'm thinking specifically about all the cases about the unaccompanied minors. I worked for 5 years at the New York Law School, co-directing the project to get special and juvenile status for all the eligible children and young adults. Once you publish something, that's going to be out there forever, right? So you've got to think about that. You've also got to think about a lot of the people who are applying for asylum, right? May face persecution even in the United States due to what is being reported, or the safety of their family members, right, in their home country. So you might want to think about, as a lawyer, we might want to think about release forms. We want to think about how we're going to talk about the story so that no individual details are provided. So really, I just want to say that as journalists, we appreciate your work so much and everything you do. And to us, as the immigration lawyers, you're really heroes for getting our topics out there and helping our clients. Thank you.